Welcome to Record Rights. We have finally reached the end of the self-publishing guide. Today, we are going to make the cover for the paper book. I'm expecting that you have already watched the instructions on how to make your ebook cover. We're going to be working from that. I'm going to be trying to not repeat a lot of that information. So if you have not watched that yet, go ahead and watch it. It's in this playlist, and then you can come back here. And you actually also need to have laid out your book contents, and this is why. So here we are at the KDP cover calculator. You can see the URL right there. I'm also going to put it in the notes. And one thing that it requires is knowing the page count. So we are going to select our binding type. I don't know hardcover. It may be very similar. Once you've gone through the paperback, I imagine that you could go through hardcover relatively easily. I'll have to do that one day. I'm not sure how much they cost. I honestly haven't looked into it. The interior type, you're going to want black and white. Paper type, for fiction, cream paper is the standard. It is what I have used on all of my books. For nonfiction, you might consider white paper. Or if you were doing something in color, reading direction left to right, measurement units, and I guess that's on you, whatever your preference is. And then we will choose the interior trim size, and I use 5 1/4 by 8. So I didn't actually finish formatting the inside of my book, but I'm going to say that it is 220 pages. They know what sort of blank pages will end up being added, since pages aren't added individually but are folded bundles of pages all glued together, and they will include that in this. You can just tell them the actual page count of the PDF that you produced. So then you can calculate dimensions, and you see a description for all of the areas, including the full cover, the front cover, back cover, safe area, bleed, the spine safe area. Okay, so let's go ahead and download our template. So you can see they give you a PDF, a PNG, and a README text. But what we are interested in is that PNG file. So let's go ahead and get into GIMP. Okay, so while I did not finish formatting my book contents, as promised, I did make some changes to my cover. I definitely like the yellow more. It's more harmonious. And the only thing that's giving me trouble is that this is so busy down here that I feel it's very hard to put my name down there. I can put a panel. I don't love the look of that with this particular image. But then my name is repeated right here, the Riker cut. So I don't know. I may end up messing with them more. This might not be what you end up seeing in Amazon if you look for it, but it should be close. So this is our ebook cover. How do we turn this into the paper book cover? You could just recreate it wholesale from the PNG file that you just downloaded. If you've done a lot, then you might not like the idea of that. And although you are going to have to create some things anew, like the drop shadows, you can make a copy of this. So I made a copy of my ebook cover and pasted it into my paper book cover folder and renamed it, and that is over here. So let me show you what these can look like, as a final product before we end up walking through. So this is my ebook cover for Among Prey, and this is my paper book cover for Among Prey. You can see the spine text there, and in the background is this template that we just generated. It includes the barcode location. It includes all those areas fully demarcated that were described when we generated, after we put our information in. This provides the guidelines that you can use to place your text and your images, secure that it's not going to be trimmed out. And let me tell you something. You see how tight of a fit that is? I had it off by a pixel or 2 into the red area. I didn't think that they would care. They cared. I tried to order some proof copies and they declined to print them and said that I needed to fix this. So they apparently do check this, and that's a good thing. That's good. It was annoying to try to fit it in here, but in the end, I know that it's not going to get folded. It's not like this would be cut away. It might fall on the side of the fold a little bit of the spine, but it'll look good if that doesn't happen. So what we are going to do is we're going to take that PNG file and we're just going to drag it in here. And you can see it is much bigger. The standard for digital images is like 70 dots or pixels per inch. The standard for print is 300 dots per inch. The amount of bleed that happens when you see the light is less than the amount that happens when you see it printed. So I moved that down, and then what we're going to do is you come up to Image, Fit Canvas to Layers. So now we have all our stuff, and the image is exactly the correct size. 6,783 by 4,950, which I'm just going to believe them that is the size that it needs to be. So you can see this is now going to take a lot of finagling. So let's get to it. The first thing that I want to do is get rid of the border shadow. You can see it there. It's no longer necessary because that border was only for keeping the image distinct from the background on the website for the ebook. So we will delete that. So I'm pretty sure that this keeps the full-sized copy of the JPEG in here, but I'm paranoid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my original JPEG into the image. So one thing that's going to happen is that the aspect ratio is going to be different of the book versus the ebook cover. So you're going to have to adjust for that. Things will fit a little bit differently. So we're going to resize this with the scale tool, Shift S. I'm going to try to remember not to just use shortcuts. You want to make sure that the width and height are will scale together. And then you hold Control, it centers, which isn't exactly what you want, but it does let you fit it, see that you fit it to the height exactly, which is nice. Okay, then we scale it. Let's go ahead and move it over. If you're just trying to move laterally, you can use the arrows and hold the Shift key to move it more. Okay, so we can get rid of the Horde JPEG now. I can barely see this because, as I said in my ebook cover video, I'm having to record this in 1K, but my monitor here is 4K, so it's very, very small. Okay, so I am making a decision here just to scale the whole thing. So I'm linking all of the text together. Usually I don't do it this way, but I don't really see the harm. I'm just kind of sometimes obsessive. So let's do it the more sensible way. And so we need to resize these. We need to stretch them. So that's this. Or Shift S. And first we need to grab a hold of the right thing. At least one of the right things. And because they're locked, they should all stretch together. That is a messy way to do it. I'm gonna be the first to admit that. I think that's about right though. Maybe a little bigger. I might not do it this way if I hadn't had to split up Horde to get rid of extra space in between the A and the RD, but I did. And now I'm going down this path, so. it's good to try out different methods, not do it the same every time. So I definitely am a person who can sometimes find a one way that works of doing something and just stick with it. It needs to move up a little bit, but I'm looking at this red zone. Can't move it up too far. One thing that you can do to make it a little easier is to make sure you're staying in the lines is to like reduce the opacity of your background image. So you see I've selected the horde, and this will let your guidelines kind of show through. This also, actually, this is very important for centering the text, because what I was just doing is centering it in the image, and that's not what we really want to do, because this image is extending beyond all the way past the spine. So what we actually want to do is center it, to move the wrong thing. What we actually want to do is center it between the guides. And that was overkill. The difference between shift arrow and arrow is enormous. It would be smart to get the text out of the red entirely, but they won't force you to. They will force you to keep it within that black line, though. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so what's interesting is that the image fits perfectly where the spine fold is, and that's great. I actually might even nudge it over a little bit more, or maybe stretch it a little bit more. Let me zoom in to kind of more ensure that that fits right there. That fits really well. So let's go ahead and make the back. This lets you know right here where they're going to put the barcode. If you've got something, they will let you put your own barcode. You can choose that to put your own barcode in the image. I don't know exactly why you would want to do that, except maybe you can put it on the other side if you want to for some reason. If it works for your design better to have it elsewhere. I've just always let them place it there. Sometimes I put my colophon, never actually said that word out loud, which, and I think that's what it's called, the imprint of your publishing house, my Sucker Punch press. Sometimes I put it right here, but I haven't been on these reprints. It doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to duplicate this layer. And then move it over. You know what? I need to move it exactly over. Okay, I'm going to reduce the opacity to make sure that I've got it right on the line. And as you can see, I did not get it right on the line. So let's go ahead and scoot it over until it is. Okay, looks like we're good now. And in order to get them to match up, what I do sometimes what I've been doing more recently is mirroring this. So that is this right here. We want to do a horizontal flip, and there we go. And that'll make the sky match up nicely. Now, another thing that you can do is you could put a like a black bar or a different color bar, the width of the spine. That also looks nice. But if you want to use have the image wrapping, mirroring the back image is a good way to make it look purposeful and not like a jarring break, because this isn't going to be folded exactly, cut or folded exactly right every single time. So it's good that it looks continuous. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and increase the opacity back just to see how it looks. And then, yeah. So obviously this looks a little bit like a weird pattern, but remember, the spine should be all the way over here. So the actual split won't be visible from the front or from the side that is out on the shelf. And like I said, if you don't like that, you can put a bar over this. You can put a layer that's the exact size of the spine. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to get all of our text on here. Unless you have a very clean font, you probably don't want to use your title font. Even though it seems like it matches, it's just not really done, and it's not going to be easy to read. We want to try to make it look professional. The font that I have here is one that I use for my name in a lot of books. I don't always. If I'm using a sans serif font, or if I'm using for the title, or if I'm using a particularly clean looking font for the title, I won't use this font for my name. But I thought that it looks good here without being too matchy-matchy with the actual, this kind of extremely styled font. So what we need to do is we need to take the description, and that is at least the starting point for this, and it might also be the end point for it. So we are going to I copied my description, selected and copied it, and I am going to make a text box for it. We're not doing this in Monster Attack. I want to extend the text box just so we have as much space as possible to work with and see what we're working with. This is probably going to be, I can't look at these and tell you because now these are images. Did you notice that? So we don't actually have to even link these together because they're separate images. We could merge them all down. So I'm not sure what this font is. We'll try 95. And I don't know if we want to go with the same color here because I don't think it's the most legible. So this is where you are going to start, where you're going to think about what the panel that you're going to put on the back, if you need to do that, is going to look like. So this is my Among Prey cover. I'm bringing back the cover. And as you can see, I put a panel and made it mostly dark. You can see it's not fully opaque. This is because this is the merged down image, but this is the actual panel, and it's 95. It's got a 95% opacity. That ends up looking nice. I wonder if I should do something like that here. I'll show you another option. Okay, so for In the Shadows of Children, and I don't think that this looks quite as nice, but you can see that I used the bar method here instead of mirroring it. And I put a fully opaque layer there, and then put the text in that, and I put a little border around the layer. So you've got some choices. I mean, you've got more choices than that. I'm just, I'm laying out the few that I kind of tend to use. So this font would actually be good. It's got the serif on it, like for my name and for the Riker cut subtitle. So what is this is the question. Bedoni MT. This, I've read the license on this. It's a Microsoft font, and it is available to use with commercial projects. Okay, so we're going to try Bedoni MT. There it is right there. And it did not keep the 95. A yellow is clearly not working. Right there. And I'm going to darken, I'm going to make this fully opaque so we can actually see what it looks like. Okay, that honestly is not bad. As if it fits up above the creatures. One thing that you have to choose is whether you're going to center it or whether you're going to fully justify it. So I'm not going to, it's not legible enough here. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to make a new layer. Okay, so it doesn't need to be nearly this size. Width is going to be less than half. Height is going to be a little more than half. I don't know. Hey, pretty close. Pretty darn close. I'm impressed with myself. Okay, that is pretty good. I think that maybe the font needs to be a little bit bigger. Let's see what it looks like if we change the justification. Well, I don't think that looks good. And this leaves a bunch of really big gaps in here in between the words, because it won't adjust the gaps between the individual letters at all to try to make up for it. I don't know. It's not too bad. Isn't that what you want to say about something you're working on your cover? It's not too bad. Okay, I think that I'm going to go with this for now. So I'm going to use this tool though to resize it. I'm going to deconnect the height and width. It's definitely not 70-point font, but that's because this is not set to 300 pixels per inch. It's still set to 70, so it has a skewed notion of how big this font is. If you wanted to be able to know what the actual size was going to be, you would need to change that. Okay, so that's done. Let's go ahead and we need to put on the text on the sides. So that means that we are going to need to drop the opacity on this again so we can see what we're doing. Okay, now one good thing is that because we have already converted these, makes it very easy to just copy them, paste them, and then rotate them. Okay, so we want to move it, going down at the bottom. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees. Boy, is this hard to see. Plenty of extra room. No worries about it getting caught in the unsafe area. Okay, I guess now I'll put a drop shadow behind it. Okay, we're going to stop with that. I don't know why my computer's chugging like that. And we're going to put the horde. So we're not going to be able to copy and paste it. So what is this font called again? Oh, yeah, and so I can create a new layer and get the actual text back. So that's nice. Monsters attack. Okay, so I might actually make something here and not have it totally black, but darken it a little bit to make the text stand out a little bit better. Okay, I think that I can make this a little bit bigger. And if I do it here, I can do it like this instead of having to scale it. So once I turn it sideways, it's going to turn into an image. All right. Let's go ahead and rotate this. Let's see if all this successfully fits on the spine. That's one of the longest titles I've ever used, so I don't know about that subtitle being there like that. I don't like it. Apparently, it has a much harder time using the drop shadow on the shape of the this complex shape of the image than it does using a drop shadow under the complex shape of a font. That's all I can think of. So that's something I could have done before rotating it, which might have made this easier. I mean, not that I would save more than a couple seconds, but let's increase the opacity back, see what we've got. There we go. Paper book cover. I probably am going to put some sort of panel down the edge right here. Because of that, I might flip this back, but I'm not sure because I'm not sure that I'm going to use a fully opaque panel. So the smoother transition would be nice. But this is the basics of how it's done. Over in KDP, you already would have started the paper book at this process because you would have needed to get the ISBN to put in the contents of the book. So you just add it to the project in KDP and you are good to go. And that brings us to the end of this little series. I hope that it has been useful for you. I hope that it is something that you can refer back to when you need a little refresher to increase your confidence. And I hope that you see that self-publishing is very boring to make videos about, but that it is not that difficult to do and that you don't need to drop a ton of money to do it. So this is the end of the self-publishing guide. Back to my normal content after this. I wish you good luck on your journey and a good rest of your day.